Hi, Tiferet Alumni. How are you? I want to wish you all a good Shabbos, and I'm going to share a small idea with you. My husband's student was working in a camp that was not Orthodox, and he had tzitzit wrapped around his belt. And one day he was working in this camp. It was completely not Jewish, actually. And a kid comes over to him, a young girl, and she says, "I know what those are. Those are tzitzit. Those are tzitzis." And the boy's like, "How do you know that?" And she's like, "Well, I'm an Orthodox Jew." And he's like, "What are you doing here? That's not an Orthodox, not even a Jewish camp." And she's like, "Yeah, my parents sent me here because they thought it was good. It was all about the arts and things like that, very cultural." So anyway, they became sort of alliances, and every time they'd be in a situation, they'd kind of look for each other in the crowd because they were the only two Orthodox people in the camp. Again, the counselor and this little girl who was a camper. One day, she watched this camper walk in, and somebody offered to trade her lunch with his lunch. And he says to her, "I'll trade you the sandwich for your sandwich." She's like, "No, I can't trade my sandwich. I'll trade you my snack for your snack." "No, I can't trade snacks with you." "Why not?" "Well," she says, "I'm kosher. My parents told me that I'm not allowed to switch any of my food for other people's foods because I can't guarantee that it's kosher." So he's like, "This bologna sandwich, it's not kosher?" She's like, "I don't think so." "This candy bar, it's not kosher?" "I don't think so," she said back. So the boy says to her, "Well, you don't know what you're missing." And the girl looked back at him, and without missing a beat, this young little girl, and the counselor was watching, said, "No, you don't know what you're missing." And the boy, who is a counselor there, was so impressed and moved. Like, he came from a non-religious background himself, and he was like, "Wow, look at how this girl held her ground. It's pretty impressive." P.S., as the Rabboni Shalom would have it, that night he got a phone call from his old buddies from prep school. And they said to him, true story, they said to him, "All right, we heard you're back in town. We're going to party the way we used to. Let's go. Get your stuff together. We're picking you up at 9 o'clock. And the boy had this inner struggle. "I don't want to lose my friends. I don't really want to go to those places anymore. I really don't know what to do." Back and forth, inner struggle. And in the end, he tells the boy on the phone, "I'd love to get together with you, but I just don't do those things anymore." And the boy said back to him, "Really? You don't do those things anymore? You don't know what you're missing." And without missing a beat, this boy thought of that camper, that girl, and looked back and said back on the telephone, "No, you don't know what you're missing." Now that's a magnificent story because it's the commitment of this boy in really a place that was totally a desert from Judaism. Being able to hold his ground is not easy, and he was inspired by a camper to do it, so it's a magnificent story. But the truth is, embedded in that story is a lot of the challenge of the man in the modern world. How do I hold my ground? How do I listen to what I believe in when sometimes I'm really swimming against currents and society isn't always pushing what I believe in? I think we can start to extract an answer for how to help ourselves or support ourselves from a book I was looking at called, I'll just show you it, In Search of Greatness, Rabbi Freifeld's Shmuzim. Rabbi Freifeld describes that Chazal say that when we say Naaseh v'Nishma at Har Sinai, we got two crowns on our heads, one for Naaseh and one for Nishma. What were those crowns, he asks? And he says the crowns were a sign of perfection. That for that moment in time, the Jews as a people were wearing the crown of Naaseh and the crown of Nishma. They had reached their potential in both these areas. So let's now break down what are these things. What is a Naaseh and what is a Nishma that we're so challenged to be like that in the world? Naaseh, says Rabbi Freifeld, is not what you think. If I tell you the verb Naaseh, you think to do. I ran a marathon. I got up early this morning and, went to work on the LIRO. We think of Naaseh as being something very active, very quick, very responsive. But that is not what, building a sweat. But that's not Naaseh. It reminds me even of Shabbos, that Malacha is not Malacha, Naaseh is not Naaseh. Rabbi Freifeld says that what is Naaseh? Naaseh is doing activities that speak to you into your inner core of who you are. And he gives two examples. Imagine you know that you're supposed to be doing a chesed of some sort, but you really don't want to do it. It costs money, it's a pain, you have to get up early, but you go and you do it. You accomplish it and you feel great about it. That's Naaseh. The second example he gives is if you owe an apology to someone and you really don't want to apologize to them. So you close your eyes, you pick up the phone and you call and you apologize and you realize it was the right thing to do. That's na'aseh. Says Rav Freifeld, that's the job of man in society. To do what he believes is right, to activate that inner sense of yashrus, and make sure that he follows through. That is na'aseh. What is nishma? So for nishma, he says it's starting to listen to yourself more. Answering questions for yourself. Where am I? What am I doing? What's my situation? Am I being the best me that I can be? And those are difficult questions. And he says, Rav Freifeld, that's why Adam Arishon, when he sinned, Hashem said to him, not why did you do that, but Ayeka, where are you? Like, why aren't you being the person? You're lost right now. You need to find yourself again, get back on track. Because Ayeka means where are you? And we really know the state of the union of our situation. So again, Nishma means listening to yourself more and trusting yourself and doing things that you believe are right, even in a world that may be telling you otherwise. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Aznayim karisali, you have hollowed out ears for me. You opened channels into my brain so that I would be able to hear. You gave me the ability to really hear. David HaMelech is thanking Hashem for the ability to really hear. And that is nishma. That is listen. So, says Rav Freifeld, at Har Sinai, when we said na'aseh v'nishma, we really did what we believed to be true. And what did we believe to be true? The things that when we listen to ourselves, we know what's right in most situations. We know when we should apologize. We know when we should do a chesed. We know all those situations. The question is whether we can activate what we know. That is na'aseh. And nishma is the appreciation that we are capable of listening to ourselves and establishing ourselves as something. And if we don't, then the Rabbanu Shalom just says to us quite simply, Ayaka, where are you? Because you've lost yourself in all of this. I close with hopefully a lot of thought for all of us. I think back to that boy in that camp, totally in a desert land of Judaism, and thinking to be watching this little girl say, no, you don't know what you're missing. How a little 8-year-old girl could have mastered Na'aseh v'nishma at such an early age is such a mussar to all of us. And I give you all a bracha, that as you approach life, and you approach things, some of you may be many years out Tiferet, as you approach the different situations, the different decisions, the different dilemmas that may come your way, the moments that you're going to have to actualize your bechira chavshis, that you learn to crown yourself. Crown yourself with the concepts of nishma, listening, and crown yourself with concepts of na'aseh. Have a good Shabbos. And on a personal note, stay in touch because I really miss everyone. And now I have some time in the summer to catch up with people. Good Shabbos.